The battle for the capital is far from over. The DA's filed papers at the High Court in Pretoria to interdict the dissolution of the Tshwane Council. Now, last week, Gauteng Premier David Makhura announced that Tshwane will be placed under administration. He said this was meant to give power back to Tshwane residents. The city has been plagued by months of political fighting as the EFF, ANC and DA all vie for control of the capital city. Let's speak now to the DA's Gauteng chairperson, Mike Moriarty. Mike, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So you've gone to court today. Tell us on what grounds you're actually challenging this.
Well, there's a couple of grounds, and they have to do with both the process of the way the dissolution decision was reached and its imposition, as well as the facts of the matter. The situation was that there was a letter originally written by the MEC in December. It's set out a whole lot of allegations. These allegations were responded to comprehensively and completely, but those were totally ignored. And as far as we're concerned, all that is happening in Tshwane is actually a power grab, and we've demonstrated it in our papers by setting out a timeline of all of the actions taken by the MEC and his colleagues in the council. The solution is actually a very simple one. All that the MEC needs to do is to compel his colleagues to go and attend a meeting. If he doesn't want to do it, well, we're asking the court to compel the councillors to attend a meeting.
So your previous mayor who resigned said that it would be in the best interest of the residents for him to step down.
Yes.
And you were going to make a ruling on the sex scandal against him. Do you feel like residents are not being affected by what's happening in council? Is that really the case?
Well, I mean, you know, if you spend any time of any significant period in Tshwane, you'll find that the traffic flows, the electricity flows, the water flows, refuse is collected.
Well, water doesn't flow because residents are protesting.
Oh, look, you know, you might go to a certain place where there is a challenge, which is an inherited challenge of many years. There is a plan in place, and that was one of the things that we explained to the MEC. But that's one portion of the city. Water is being provided in terms of water tankers and stuff like that, while the long-term solution is being reached on. But the whole situation and the principle here is that a provincial government, according to the Constitution, may not intervene except under exceptional circumstances and in extreme cases. This is not the case here. You compare Tshwane to, say, Mfuleni, where they've had the embarrassing situation where a sheriff has gone in and seized some assets down there. Now, they never considered dissolving that particular council. Why not? It's because it's run by the ANC, whereas in Tshwane, they're out of power. Come next year, 2021, there will be dozens of municipalities that will be minority municipalities taken, minority governments by other parties taken away from the ANC in 8 provinces that are currently governed by the ANC. Yeah. If we don't make a stand here and set the precedent, the wrong precedent will be set going forward, and that will be terrible for the citizens of those particular counties.
Mike, you must admit that your ruling of Tshwane has not been peachy. You've had 2 mayors leave, you've had city managers and acting city managers under scrutiny and criticized and being accused of all sorts of things. So, you know, you basically led yourself into the situation where you got to council and everyone was unhappy with what was happening in the city.
Are there lessons to be learned? Yes, without a doubt. Have we learnt them? Most certainly. This has been a very testing experience for us. What it has been for us is that when we go into coalitions, we've got to make sure that there are conditions that lead to an improvement in services. If there is any failure by any partner, there needs to be mechanisms to take it up. And of course, the real problem that we've had is that there was nothing binding at all on a particular group of people who are our voting partners, so to speak, and that's the EFF. We've got to fix something like that. We can't find ourselves in the same position as we were with
So what's happened to that investigation against Stevens Mokgalapa?
It's continuing. What had obviously happened was that he was feeling quite a lot of pressure. And in the face of that pressure and in the face of an inability of that council to continue while he was in office, he voluntarily stepped down, but it was ahead of a finding. Well, in fact, it was pursuant to a finding that he should face charges. And so the federal executive did say, you're going to face charges. Those still remain. So there's a process. But as you know, with disciplinary inquiries, there's papers that get served, opportunity to answer those, and they're never settled overnight.
Yeah, I mean, mean, I saw an article in January saying you were supposed to announce the decision or outcome on that investigation pretty soon. When do you think that's going to happen, though?
No, the investigation did result in an announcement that he did have a prima facie case to answer to, and that was the outcome of that particular investigation. So then the Federal Legal Commission of our party drew up charges. They were presented to Mr. Mokgalapa. He's now having to study those and answer to those.
And when do you see all of this? I mean, he was accused of having sex in an office, basically. Let's be blunt about it. So when do you come to...
There were one or two other things, but that's fine. Yeah. I would say April. That's normally the timeline for these things.
All right. Thank you so much for
your time.
Tshwane. Appreciate it. That was the DA's Gauteng chairperson, Mike Moriarty.